Well, guys, it finally happened. One of the best players in, well, I would say at least the last decade in the Premier League has finally left Man City. Kevin De Bruyne. We need to talk about some of these transfers. This, for me, is the biggest one. Welcome back to my Transfer Roundup series. The reason I kind of talked about it in this way is because I've absolutely hated how good he is, even though I've loved it at the same time, because De Bruyne is a 1 in a million kind of player. You don't see these kind of players very often. It's a generational type of player thing, isn't it? When you've got maybe 1, 2, 3 examples, current players in each position that are just so clearly the very, very best. And since he joined many years ago from Wolfsburg, he has dominated that role. He, for me, is up there with your Steven Gerrards, your Lampards, your Paul Scholes. Is like he is genuinely up there, and I'm just so relieved that he's now leaving Man City. The question is, are they going to be able to replace him? I don't think so. Are Man City now going into a phase where they're almost rebuilding already, right? We've seen a lot of transfers. We'll talk about that later on in this episode. But losing De Bruyne, it's just not something you can realistically solve instantly. I've loved De Bruyne. I said I've hated how good he is because I'm jealous. I've been jealous for so long that Man City have had him. Fair play to Napoli, getting him on a free. Of course, anyone could have got him on a free at the end of his deal, but only because legally he wasn't under contract. But he still needed convincing. He still needed a lot of work put in the behind the scenes to convince him to join whoever was approaching him, and Napoli have won the race. I'm sure a big part of it was moving to Italy. It's a beautiful country, and who knows what kind of other offers he's turned down, but I'm sure he turned down more money to go elsewhere. Saudi, for example. I'm really excited to see how he gets on next season in Napoli. He still has so much to give, but I think it was the right decision, and maybe the Premier League was getting away from him a little bit, the physicality, the pace of it. Your legs just disappear at that age, unfortunately, but fair play to Napoli. Like I said, great transfer for them, and he will absolutely kill it over in Italy. Moving on, we have a very interesting signing. This is Charalampos Kostoulas. 35 million euros from Olympiacos. Brighton have splashed the cash on a young player that seemingly has a very high ceiling, a very high potential, but of course it's risky. You never know if they're actually going to make it, and what we're seeing here is the money they've made over the years from Chelsea being spent on young players. And, you know, I really love what Brighton do in the transfer window. I tried to replicate it a little bit in the career mode, which is coming back, by the way. I'm hoping later this week we'll get the new season of the Brighton career mode going. But what they do is they bring in young players, not normally this expensive, let's be fair, like a Baleba or back in the day, Caicedo, and then they sell them on for ridiculous fees to Chelsea, and then they reinvest that money in more young players. They always like to go this route, and I really appreciate that. But as I just said, it's not normally this much. This is a big amount of money, 35 million euros on an 18-year-old. It's not unheard of, but it certainly is for a club like Brighton, who are just trying to push for European spots. 35 million on a youngster for a top 6 club is quite common. But I guess 35 million is the new 20 million now, isn't it? With the way football money is going. But best of luck to him. Moving on to another young player. This time, though, it's Real Madrid, and 45 million euros isn't quite as much to them as 35 million is to Brighton. Although, I guess Brighton have a lot of money, so maybe 35 is nothing to them now as well. But this is Frank. I'm going to call him Franco because his last name's a little bit of a weird one. Mastantuono. I'm probably saying that one wrong, but from River Plate to Real Madrid for 45 million euros. It's one of those transfer sagas that felt like it went on for ages, but actually it was wrapped up pretty quickly. And I'm excited to see how he gets on. He definitely has potential. He's got that Argentinian flair, stylistic traits. I think he could do very well for Real Madrid. But the question is, How is he going to get into the team? How many minutes is he going to get? Is he going to be loaned out? Who knows? But I'm sure a lot of clubs were interested in this guy. And by the way, he's going to be a superstar in FC26. I mean, he will have one of the highest potentials for sure in career mode. So definitely one to watch out for. And maybe he'll get a face scan as well. Now, this next transfer is a real strange one. Egan Riley, part of one of the best defences we've seen in England, let alone in just the Championship. Burnley were absolutely sensational at the back last season. They got promoted because of their defence, not because of the amount of goals they scored, which, I mean, it wasn't bad, but let's all be honest, it was their defence. They built everything around their defence. And Egan Riley, CJ, one of the main players. And I really did think he would play in the Premier League and impress this season, whether it was at Burnley or if he was going to get a move to, I don't know, Brighton. I signed him in my Brighton career mode. I believe he used to play for Man City, so there's always been a huge potential there. And now he's just gone off to France. He's signed for Marseille for free. I mean, am I the only one who thinks this is just really weird? It's the strangest thing. I would have fully expected him to be in the Premier League next season, Burnley or not. So I'm actually a little bit disappointed. This I thought this had like a Tottenham signing all over it. I really expected him to get that move, and he did. But to Marseille, who of course they're a massive club in France, and I don't want to disrespect Marseille, but it's like you just fought for promotion in the Championship, and you're just gonna. Weird. Very strange. But another one that's a little bit strange, another team promoted to the Premier League and, of course, absolutely need to reinvest money that they've made. Leeds have got themselves a baller. If you know, you know. Lucas Nemecha. He's still only 26. I could have sworn he'd be older by now, but this is one of my career mode legends. I'm sorry to keep going back to the topic of career mode, but leave a comment down below if you can remember where I signed Nemecha, which club it was. He was absolutely incredible. Bonus points if you can name which game it was, which year it was. But a free deal. Unbelievable. His younger brother's at Dortmund and seemingly overtaking career-wise. He's definitely a very talented player, but Lucas, the older brother, is going to be playing in the Premier League for Leeds next season, or this season now. Still can't believe the old season's done. How they've done this, I mean, okay, maybe at Wolfsburg, it wasn't the most successful spell ever. He had some good seasons and some average seasons. But surely other clubs would have been snooping. But Leeds are one of the biggest clubs in England, whether you like it or not. And them being in the Premier League just feels right to me. And they've signed a very experienced striker, and I think he's going to do well. We'll see. There's normally a reason a transfer like this will surprise you. You think, oh yeah, he was good, and now maybe he's not so good, Moving on, we've got, obviously, with an outgoing left-back from Bournemouth, we've got, obviously, Kirkes most likely going to Liverpool in the next few days, weeks. They've already signed a new left-back. This is Adrien Truffert, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it. He's French. He's young, a young left-back from France playing in Stade Rennais. He is now going to be in the Premier League, and this might be one of the best promotional pictures I've seen. This is incredible. Bournemouth is, of course, on the coast. I've actually been to Bournemouth many times. It's a beautiful place. Sandbanks, that's where you want to go. And maybe he'll find himself having some nice sunny days down in the summer, but great deal for Bournemouth. 13.5 million. They're obviously going to be making massive profit by just simply letting Kirkes go to Liverpool and signing him. So it's a good deal. I haven't seen him play. I can only imagine he must be good. He's a young French player at a solid French team, and he's got a big move to the Premier League. You have to be a solid, good player for that to happen. So it's going to be an interesting one. Imagine if he ends up being... I mean, Kirkes could go to Liverpool and have a stinker. Imagine. And then you have someone like Truffert coming in and actually outperforming him. It'd be a bit of a strange one, because I think Kirkes is an unreal left-back, probably one of the best in the world on his day. He's unplayable at times, but this is a good replacement, it would seem. Good luck to him, though. Big boots to fill. Up next, another strange one, actually. Sane was linked with, my club, Arsenal, were apparently interested. Tottenham were interested. I'm sure 10, 20, 30 clubs would have been snooping around, at least inquiring to see what Sane was looking to do. And he has gone to Galatasaray on a free. His wages are astronomical. Reportedly, he's getting over 400,000 euros a week. So it's an absolute no-brainer for him. I'm sure Saudi were offering similar, if not more, but he's chosen to go to Turkey. It's a beautiful country, amazing weather, amazing food, and I'm sure he's going to have an absolutely amazing time there. And for me, when it comes to that hostility, that environment, the atmosphere of just intense, crazy football, it's Turkey. So best of luck to him. I was actually quite sad when I saw this. I thought he would have been an absolutely amazing acquisition for Arsenal. You know, a backup to Saka on that right side, someone who's comfortable on the left. And don't forget, he absolutely ripped up the Premier League when he was at Man City. He was incredibly good, and he was so good at Schalke. At Bayern, you could say he's been a bit hot and cold, but he's still a fantastic player. So, big money, huge money for Galatasaray to invest salary-wise, but they've got the job done. This is a really exciting one. So Baturina, a lot of hype around this guy, but he's 22 now. He's not exactly young. He has gone to Como. Como, they're in a bit of a weird spot right now because they're trying to build for the future. They've got Cesc Fabregas as manager, and last season, of course, was very special. They got promoted into the Serie A. They stayed in. They didn't just stay in there. They actually did very, very well, beating some big teams along the way. And Fabregas clearly is going to be a very good manager. So they're building for the future. But then other clubs are coming knocking for Fabregas. So they're doing all of this. They're spending big money on players, and Fabregas could leave. Who knows what's going to happen? Hopefully he stays. I would actually love him to stay. This is a cracking deal, and I think we're going to hear a lot more of his name. I really believe that we're going to see, I think, just how good he is. He's a very, very talented young player. And he's not young. You know, if he was 17, 18, still so much to learn, so much to do. And yes, he's going from Croatia to the Serie A, so it's not like he's going from the Premier League with that kind of experience, or the French League, the German League, or whatever. Just remember his name, Baturina. He's going to be amazing. And then lastly, just because, of course, it has been an incredible two windows for Man City, spending well over 250 million from the winter window and now this one. Ait Nouri for 36.8 million, Reinders for 55 million, Cherki for 36.5 million, and then Bettinelli for just under 2.5 million. This is incredible business. So they were linked with Florian Wirtz, who of course is joining Liverpool. It will happen. For the same price, they've just signed all four of these. Now, Bettinelli, of course, he's not a signing for the team. You're probably going to think, what am I talking about? He's a numbers player. So every Premier League club has to have a certain amount of English players. It's a quota that you have to complete. Otherwise, you can't register the squad, right? If you've played FM, you'll know about this. Bettinelli is just replacing Scott Carson. They've basically paid 2.4 million to have an English flag in their quota. That's it. They could have probably gone with a lot of other players that aren't of his quality, but I guess, on a very rare occasion, if all of their goalkeepers are unfit, they have to throw in Bettinelli. At least he's somewhat ready. But obviously, the main one here is Cherki. So there are a lot of comparisons between Wirtz and Cherki. People saying that Wirtz is triple his value, but isn't triple the player. And I agree. Obviously not. But what you're getting with Wirtz is, I think you're getting... it's so difficult to say that, because I was going to say a bit more of a natural-born technician, but Cherki, he looks phenomenal. There are some clips of him in training, and don't get me wrong, okay? Wirtz is a very, 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 very special player. He's going to be one of the best players. He already is one of the best players in his positions. But I'm going to make this hot take. Cherki is going to outperform him if he gets around the same minutes. I don't think Cherki's going to get as many minutes as Wirtz is. Put it this way, Wirtz is going to be a main starter, right? He's going to play almost every single minute this season coming up. He'll probably be rested in a few early FA Cup games and early Champions League games against the lesser opposition. But he's going to be a solid starter, whereas Cherki is obviously going to be competing a little bit more with the likes of Phil Foden, and he won't get as many minutes. But I think come the end of next season, let's say Wirtz has played double, he will have more than half of his goals and assists, and he's less than a third of the price. Cherky will be, value-wise, a lot better. And I'll just say this now, I think he's going to get more goals and assists. I just have a feeling that Cherky is going to light up the Premier League, and we won't see much of Phil Foden anymore. I think they're very similar players, but Cherky... What you are taking a risk on is this attitude rumour that he's a bit of a naughty boy and he's not very professional. Whereas Wirtz, we don't know if he's the most professional player ever, but you don't see much reported about his attitude issues. You know, I don't know what is that extra market value coming from? They're very similar age. They play in a very similar way. Obviously, it comes down to contract. You know, how much time was left on either of their deals and which clubs they're coming from, the prestige of those clubs. There's so many things that go into market value, and of course, I've always said this: market value actually means nothing. It's just what you're okay paying, right? But there is no real reason for this discrepancy, in my opinion, ability-wise. They're going to both do very, very well. I'm not saying Wirtz isn't going to do well at Liverpool. I just think Cherky's going to absolutely blow up the Premier League. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Another Transfer Roundup video. We'll be back later this week with some more. And as I said, the Brighton career mode is coming back.